The Knicks have just made a major decision in free agency. As we all know, the Knicks still have one roster spot remaining. They still have access to the mid-level exception. And reports have indicated that the Knicks want to use the MLE to add another backup big to this roster. And the one name that has been consistently linked to the Knicks over the last few weeks has been Omer Yurtseven, who's currently a free agent. But unfortunately, according to these latest reports, the Knicks recently worked out Omer, but they elected not to sign him to the roster. We're going to break down all of these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks make a major decision on Omer Yurtseven in free agency. The Knicks have been looking to utilize their MLE to add another backup big to this roster. This has been consistently reported by SNY's Ian Bagley. Unfortunately, though, the Knicks have not been able to sign anybody. We have to remember, going back to the beginning of the offseason, the Knicks were looking to trade for a backup center. They couldn't do that. Then they went to free agency. They couldn't find anybody to add to this roster. Then they signed Precious Achiuwa to a 1-year, $6 million deal. They waived his no-trade clause in the process as well, too. And now all signs are still pointing that the Knicks are looking to make another move at the trade deadline to add more depth to the center position. We all think as well, too, that the Knicks are going to utilize the MLE to at least add more center depth right now in case Mitchell Robinson goes down. And one of the names we were looking at was Omer Yurtseven. The Knicks had recently shown interest in adding him to the roster, but according to these recent reports, it doesn't look like he's going to make the Knicks roster at this point in time. Shout out to John Macri on the app X for giving us the following information from Mark Stein. According to Stein, the Knicks recently auditioned free agent big man Omer Yurtseven, among others, but did not elect to sign him. Yurtseven was a reserve in Utah last season. Shout out to Mark Stein for giving us the following updates about the Knicks and their interest in Omer Yurtseven. And obviously, as we just saw, there are two important things to take out of that update. Number one, it does not look like Omer is going to make the roster. He is not going to be used with the MLE to be the backup center on this team. But if you notice what Mark Stein stated, he mentioned that Omer was one of the big men among others that the Knicks recently auditioned in terms of free agents they want to add to this team. That is extremely noteworthy because even though they're not going to add Omer to this team, they are looking at other potential free agents to add to this roster. And I hope some of those free agents are backup bigs because as of right now, given Mitchell Robinson's status, potentially for training camp and to start the regular season, we need all the help we can get at the center position. Right now, if the season started today, Mitchell Robinson would not be available. That would mean your starting center would likely be Precious Achiuwa and the backup center would be Jericho Sims. And if we are a contending team in the NBA, having a center depth of only those two is not good enough. We're going to need more depth. We're going to need more players. And if the Knicks don't want to add Omer, which in my opinion does not make any sense at all, he fits in terms of the MLE, his skill set fits, and in terms of playing 10 to 15 minutes off the bench, I think he could definitely give you that, especially given his age. But if the Knicks worked him out and they elected not to sign him, that likely means he did not look good in that workout. He was not doing what they needed him to do. If that's the case, I'm not actually that mad at it. But you still need to utilize that MLE for somebody else. You need to utilize it to get another person on this team that can have a legit impact. And the only thing that we can utilize right now is a backup center. I hope besides Omer, they were looking at other backup bigs. And if you're taking a look at the free agent market right now, there are not that many backup bigs available. The only other big I would want the Knicks to go after is Bismack Biyombo. And it's not because he's an amazing free agent. It's just because he's very good on defense. And Tom Thibodeau is a defensive coach. So those two things work together. They fit. And if he's going to play 15 minutes off the bench backing up Mitchell Robinson, I would rather a player like Bismack Biyombo be available on the bench who has the defensive instincts that likely relate to Tom Thibodeau extremely well, off the bench helping us in case Mitchell Robinson goes down, he needs a break, or we need a legit backup off the bench. Right now, say what you want to say about Jericho Sims, Precious Achiuwa, their experience under Thibs, their athleticism, what they can do on the defensive end. I'm not taking away from any of that. They're very important players for this Knicks team right now, especially given Mitchell Robinson's health status and his rehab right now. But it's still something to note that the Knicks are working out backup bigs as we speak. If they're doing that, it all signifies and indicates that the Knicks still have major concerns at the depth at the center position. That's why they're working out backup bigs. That's why they're trying to use their MLE to get more size on this roster. But the Knicks need to move quick and utilize that MLE on a free agent, because the number of free agents that are available right now are starting to fade away. And one premier free agent that could have played center for the Knicks was just signed by the Philadelphia 76ers. Shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski for giving us the following information. Free agent forward Gershon Yabusele has agreed on a 1-year, $2 million minimum deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Yabusele is joining the NBA's Eastern Conference after leaving the Boston Celtics for Real Madrid in 2019. Yabusele helped lead the French national team to the silver medals in the Paris Olympics, according to Shams. He averaged 14 points, receiving significant interest from multiple teams in recent weeks. What a great signing by the Philadelphia 76ers. Listen, you guys know me. I never like to praise any opponents or any opposing teams, but this move by Philly was a very good signing. And even though Yabusele is listed as a forward, he is 6'8", and if you saw him in the Olympics, his defensive instincts are top-notch. He can play forward, he can play backup center, he can do it all for Philly. And at signing him for $2.1 million, that is an absolute steal. I wish the Knicks were able to get him on our roster, but now it looks like we'll have to be facing him in the Eastern Conference during next season. I have no problem with that, but again, another free agent that the Knicks potentially could have used their MLE on to sign for this roster has now gone off the board. If the Knicks continue to wait, they're going to find themselves in a similar situation each and every time. They need to utilize the MLE. They need to get another backup big on this roster, especially given the Mitchell Robinson news. He has not cleared hurdles yet to potentially be ready for training camp. We have no idea what his status is going to be to start the season. He could potentially miss the start of the season. If that's the case, we are even in more of a need to get another center on this team, somebody who can legitimately back up Mitchell Robinson, and if he goes out with injury or illness, could start for the Knicks. Precious Achiuwa, even though he can do it for us, doesn't mean he should. Jericho Sims, even though he can do it for us, doesn't mean he should. Training camp this year is going to be very, very important for the Knicks, especially at center. If Mitchell Robinson's not available, that means it's going to give a lot of opportunity to whatever player the Knicks sign with the MLE, Jericho Sims, and Precious Achiuwa. And depending on how they do in training camp, that can go a long way in terms of carving out a meaningful role and meaningful minutes for themselves headed into next season. I'm going to be very interested to see who shows up during training camp. I want it to be Jericho Sims. I would love it to be Precious Achiuwa, but you never know who could actually show up. It could even be a rookie for the Knicks that does everything they need him to do. We're going to have to wait and see, but as of right now, one thing is clear. The Knicks are working out a number of free agents in the hopes of using their MLE to sign another player on this team. And it's clear they're looking for a backup big to add to this roster. But what about you guys? What do you think about the recent news indicating that the Knicks recently auditioned free agent big man Omer Yurtseven, but they did not elect to sign him to the roster? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.